Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing Jigsaw. He's back, you guys. The guy with the saw. He's back in theaters. I am the host for this evening. Joining me tonight, first up, coming to you from Chicago, Illinois. He likes to drink beer, and his name is Joe.
Greetings and felicitations on All Hallows Eve.
Next up on the show, the most horrifying thing in this guy's life is that he's dealing with twin daughters right now. We all got to meet him at the BGH 10-year celebration, which was delightful. Please welcome Jason to the show.
Aloha.
How's it going, Jason?
Hey.
Next up on the show, coming to you from Indiana, he is hot into his Halloween home preps. His name is Casey.
Hello.
Has there been any neighborhood urination yet?
Not that I've seen yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well, we got time. We got 24 hours here.
I know.
And last up on the show, joining us, she's the high priestess of books and smart things at Bloody Good Horror. I also got to meet this person for the first time this past weekend. That's pretty exciting. Her name is Cece.
Hello.
We didn't get to hang out as much as I would have liked, Cece.
Well, you know, I think you turned in a little early Friday night for me, and I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I came in ready to go, and half y'all were already asleep.
That's the first time you two met?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
so special.
I was not at that horror hound that she was at. I haven't been at a horror hound in like 5 years, maybe.
I'd say I
In
got
fairness-
just like to hang out with you just enough. Like I think I was fine. But
I mean, I was just enough, and then I could like push Kyle your way, and then go do my own thing, right?
that I could have done more of, a little more.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. It's very exciting. We're now starting the next 10 years, right, Joe? 10 years ago.
Right.
10 years ago, I was living in Florida with my then girlfriend, and we began the show with me stealing Wi-Fi from the pool house in my apartment complex. And in 10 years from now, I hope, honestly, to just still have all of my faculties about me. So,
You?
life goals, you know?
You know what's really funny, and I didn't piece this together until like the day after our big thing. Next week is my 10-year anniversary of my wedding as well.
Did you get... Okay. Oh, well, you weren't on the show in the beginning. It's true.
Yeah, no, I was. Yeah.
Did you guys listen to our first episode on your honeymoon?
Yeah, that's actually how we met. We were in a local New York City Bloody Good Horror meetup group.
After episode 1?
Yeah, we're ahead of the game in New York City.
Yeah.
So, and then, one thing led to another.
May love to the sound of Eric's voice.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone does.
Man, it just dawned on me you talking about that. If we do this another 10 years, I will officially be over the hill.
Yeah, no, you're there now, buddy. It's okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know, but I'll be like pushing 60 by that point.
The state of mind, man.
What I really want to know about, I'd love to hear Jason and Cece's impressions of Drunk Schnars now that they have met him in the wild.
It's terrifying.
I second that.
Yeah.
I looked into the abyss and I've never come back.
Hair turned white, eyes rolled back in your head, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
We did have a lot of people go like, oh, no, you guys were not kidding. This is totally what it's like.
I
You're
mean,
like, yeah.
It was quite the sight, I do have to say.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until these verbally assaulting people were trying to get to pay money to watch a movie.
No, bro, you got to come
Bro.
in here, bro. Bro, you have no
Bro.
idea.
You know what? I think we're good. Medea's playing down the street. I think we'll go check that out.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Hopefully people who are interested listen to the 10-year kind of wrap-up episode we did. We managed to record some audio out there. And so, I mean, I assume people have listened to that or not at this point, Joe. They've made their decisions.
Yeah, I was quite touched by your intro.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I got a little choked up.
Wow, that means a lot coming from you. I think
Yeah.
for obvious reasons.
I think I'm mostly not being sarcastic too. I'm
No,
pretty
that's actually your response is touching me, Joe. So there you go. Speaking of surprising things coming out of Joe, do you want to tell us about dressing up your friggin' dog for Halloween?
sure. I mean, I've been excited about this since we got the dog. The only disappointment was we wanted it to like theme him after my daughter's costume, and she originally wanted to be Princess Leia up until about a month ago, which broke my heart when she changed her mind. But she's going to be a pirate, so we got Lemmy one of those like this is all I've wanted, like those pirate costumes for dogs, but the ones where it's like the head that goes through and it looks like it's like a little man walking.
It's I gotta say the picture. I literally was like, wait, is this a dog-headed person?
It's my favorite. Here, I'll send it so you can put it in the.
Yeah, send it on. It definitely took me a second to figure out what the F was happening.
Yeah. I was so happy. Leslie and I, like, usually we laugh at him when we do stupid things like this, but this we were legitimately like cracking up hard.
Yeah, and then they kind of walk up and the like sword sticking out to the side.
Yeah,
pretty
he's
cool.
weird because he's like super hyper, but then whenever we put like I have a Chewbacca like sweater that he wears when it's cold out, and like he's hyper and he'll jump around, but the moment you put anything on him, like he just gets so defeated and like he doesn't move and
It's
he just sits
interesting.
there and he's like,
Jesus.
Yeah, my dogs are kind of like that too. But have you ever heard of a thunder shirt?
no, what is
So
that?
a thunder shirt is a thing that's designed to calm dogs down during storms, and it's basically like a blanket that kind of velcros around them that's really tight, and then some.
It's just like swaddling them.
Yeah, some
Huh.
dogs have that reaction where they're just kind of like, and they kind of chill out.
Yeah,
If
he
you-
has no reaction to thunder. Like,
If
doesn't
you
care.
really want to have a fun time, get some like dog boots. Like
Oh,
little-
we got him for the winter.
And they
He's
start-
not worn yet.
they start like my dog can't find its equilibrium, and she just totally loses it and starts like doing this weird spider walk thing and trying to like kick them off. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Are you gonna send me the picture, Joe?
I'm trying to find it not in Instagram because I don't think
Son
you
of
can.
a bitch.
post it. There we go.
So Cece, since you weren't
Yes.
on, and I'll ask you too, Jason. Just curious, any final thoughts you want to share about the Bloody Good Horror 10 years, just the experience?
I mean, it was great. I had a great time, and I'm glad that most everyone was there. It was awesome. It's very, it was a nice, heartwarming
Yeah,
time.
I got to say it was very nice. Like the coming together of the new class and the old class, so to speak, was very cool. I mean, I felt about as old as I expected. I didn't feel more old than that, so I'm gonna call that a victory for myself.
Well, that's good. I mean, you're not that much older.
I feel very old though. So today is like 8 days from the day we all went home, and today's probably the first day I felt normal, and it's like still maybe 90%. Like I'm not there yet.
Well,
You do understand out of this group, you're the second youngest person here.
Sure, but I'm the oldest at heart.
at heart.
No, I can
Listen,
see the
Jason,
look in
just-
his eye, though. That I can see the look in the eye when the point really came to a head for Eric when he was talking to Andrew Roebuck, one of our writers, and who was explaining that he was 25, so he was 15 when we started the show.
Yeah, that's true. I will say though, you know what? I buckled down. I had a good time. I drank a bunch of liquor and got into the spirit. And
I was impressed.
the only moment I had all weekend where I was me was like brunch, and that was because I was promised brunch. I was promised brunch, and then forced like on a death march to the world's worst statue.
I mean, that was a pretty awful statue.
Yeah,
Like,
I listened. The pick is amazing and heartwarming, and I'm really glad we got it. But I was promised food, and then I ate like 3 hours later. And that, listen,
Yeah.
dude, you know me, Joe. Like you knew that was not going to go well.
Oh, I was on board with you for this, 100%. I
The
don't.
best part of all that, though. Sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the best part of all that though is even the new class have heard our stories about all of our get-togethers and stuff with Eric, drunk schnars, stuff like that. That when Eric got into I was promised food mode, even the new classers are like, "Yeah, he'll be all right."
I feel like they were just keeping their distance at that point. Like, and
We
then
were all like generally concerned following Andy on that like
well, I know.
45-minute trek to a
Yeah,
statue.
he was like, "Oh, it's just 0.3 miles," and I was like, "Okay, that's not that far." But
It
then
was
it just
not.
kept going and kept going.
It's that like a Google Maps like 0.3 where you search for something and it says it's 0.3 miles away, but then when you do directions like 3-hour walk, like
Yeah.
well, so the best
That's what
part,
it felt like.
the best part was like Mark Mark like showed up and met us at the Fonzie, right? Because you guys picked him up from the airport. Is that right, Cece?
Yeah, Kyle
You
picked
and
him
Kyle.
up.
And so like Mark was basically, because he didn't come until Saturday, so we were trying to meet him to get this big group picture, and then make it back to the brunch place to not lose our table. And I was literally like, if we go back there and we don't have a table, I am gonna flip over every table in this entire place.
I was 100% expecting that. I think it also
I
dawned on
kind
me
of
about
wish it happened.
like
Oh.
halfway through this death march, it dawned on me like none of us give a shit about Happy Days,
Yeah.
and there's really no reason for us to take a picture in front of a Fonz statue.
Well, I said we couldn't have just done this outside the restaurant, just gotten somebody standing there to take the picture.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, not to mention, like, we were walking along like a beautiful scenic like lake view where we could have
Yeah.
taken like a really
Right.
nice picture.
Nope.
listen, it's fine. I'm
And that was
not.
the worst statue I've ever seen.
It was so bad.
It was terrible. It was terrible. It's fine, Joe. I'm not bitter about it at all. But the funniest part was that like, so Mark shows up at literally my grumpiest moment in the entire weekend. He was just like, "Wow, hi." I was like, "Hey," it's like, "You're grumpy." I'm like, "Yeah, listen, I've been fine until literally this moment right now."
Mark will do that to you.
I will say we made it to breakfast, and my breakfast was delicious. So
Yeah.
That was an
Sorry.
amazing brunch, I have to say.
Yeah, it was good.
my breakfast at 2:00 in the afternoon was amazing.
The Milwaukeean Bloody Mary that they served was amazing too.
Yeah.
Delightful.
So yeah, 10
Slab
years.
of bacon and cheese. Come on.
Yeah,
I
a
do
pickle.
I do like that. So yeah, 10-year celebration. Jason, what were your thoughts, just quick, and then we'll soldier on
Well,
here.
Highlight was beating down the OG class in trivia.
I do
That's
not.
true.
Well,
I do
That
not.
happened.
I do not recognize that result. So
No, I mean,
Is
I
that
think we've
because you're
all-
old and you can't remember?
that's
Yeah, you
because
guys got-
old drunk schnars did the tallying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
But
You
I'm
gotta
surprised
remember,
you
though,
didn't win. That means that we won by a landslide. in
by his
drunk
account,
scores.
you beat us 37 to potato. So
I will
Take
say,
it.
I will say that we probably would have done better if I had any understanding of the GIF process of like predicting how many we got.
Oh,
I didn't understand how that worked at all, and was like, just yeah. So
he's not joking either because we were all sitting down in the living room on Sunday morning and he brought it up and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, now I get it."
I think we just bet max every time.
I was just.
that's all we did. We were just like this many.
Isn't
It's
that
fine.
isn't that bad though? Like if
No,
you bet,
because
if
it
you-
was the most that you could bet without losing everything.
right, but then in other words, if you get 3 right and you bet 6, you don't get any points though, right?
They're just 6
I-
points. So
You know what?
I don't
Never.
know. Based on the outcome, it was a good decision.
You know what? Never
Yeah,
mind.
Whatever we did worked.
Never mind. I still do not understand how this game works.
no,
I still
don't
have to
either.
point out though that we had a whole table of new classers against me, Eric, and Colleen.
And like wandering drunk Mark
drunk
and
Joe is wandering.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry.
Joe's 2 friends who don't watch horror movies, and Joe who spent 10% of the time at the table.
All I'm hearing is the new class is better. That's all.
Yeah,
I'm
I
hearing.
mean, all I hear is excuses, excuses.
I hate you guys. Anyway, lots of fun. Thanks again to everybody. I think we can just put a nice bow on that and say it was an amazing time and really great stuff. Halloween is about to happen, Joe.
Yeah, tomorrow.
What are you doing for Halloween? I'm going to work, I guess. So.
Probably doing some trick or treating with a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Got that thing going on.
Nice.
Taking the day off, working from home, going to the little Halloween parade at the school. It's gonna be great.
Look at you, Joe. That's fun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
might-
the wife and I are going to watch Creep 2 tomorrow night. Pretty
we might check
excited.
out the David S. Pumpkins Halloween special.
Oh,
So we have
yeah.
not watched that yet.
I went on a
Yeah.
jag yesterday where I watched the Garfield Halloween special.
Oof.
And we
Classic.
watched The Office, a couple of Office Halloween episodes, and then Night of Living Podcast did a review of a Home Improvement Halloween episode.
Oh,
So then I got online, started watching a bunch of those. Those are just way better than I
That's-
thought they had any right to be.
that's a
when I-
great idea.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of people on our Instagram followers posting up pictures of like the Roseanne specials.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
those were always the best.
they are
I
not.
did a Halloween special write up, I think, for the website I don't know, a couple years ago. That Garfield Halloween special's pretty good. That's
It's
a
real-
pretty good fog.
It's real weird.
it's
Looking back, I really don't understand the obsession with World War I happening in all that stuff. But or not Garfield. I'm thinking, sorry, that's Peanuts.
Right.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah.
take a firm stance and say fuck Charlie Brown.
Mm. Bold.
Those kids suck.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a weird vibe on that show.
They're super quiet. Like there's not like there's the famous Charlie Brown music, but like there's really not much. Like there's a lot of like silence in between talking, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
Also, I always feel like there's weird Jesus undertones. Like they're trying to preach something to me, and I don't like that.
I
Yeah,
like it.
I get it. So post Halloween, if you're going to be in doldrums and looking for something to do this Sunday, 11/5, there's going to be a tweet with BGH with the new class. They're going to be watching The Babysitter, which won their viewer poll on Twitter. So it's streaming on Netflix. You can watch it. If you're a patron, you can hop on at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then at 8, just like a classic spooktacular, you can sync up the movie with the new class and watch and tweet along with them. So that should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, what are we doing next week in the show before I forget?
Creep 2, I think, right? We've got a string of
I'm gonna be ready. That's perfect.
open weekends. I don't know. Have we decided if we're doing Murder on the Orient Express?
I super want to see that.
Decided.
I want to see that movie, but we haven't discussed it yet, so I don't want to commit.
That comes out on the 10th, I think, or like the week after. But other than that, we're pretty open for the next few weeks. So
Nice.
we got a bunch of slots to fill.
We have to do The Babysitter 2 in the show. That's definitely in the pipeline, and there were some other video pics that people had sent our way. So
Yeah, we got a good collection. We've actually been listening to you listeners out there who've been tweeting us on Twitter with some recommendations there at the @BG Horror Count. So if you got some more ideas of stuff you'd like to hear us discuss during our opening weeks, make sure to drop a line out there. They do get tallied.
yeah, this is definitely the time of year when we could use some suggestions. I know, actually, Joe, I remember now. I wanted to do Creep 2 next week, but Schnars was arguing for The Babysitter, so we'll have to.
I think we were gonna do that the way. I don't know. I'm out next week, but I think there was a potential that the triumphant return of Mark was going to be next weekend also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still on the fence if that's really going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, let's not count our chickens for the hatch, Joe.
But there's a potential.
I do want to say, too, if you are not a patron, you could be watching this live stream right now because we did tweet it out from our Twitter as like a little Halloween present for everybody. So if you are like what you see, you can hit us up, patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror, find out how to watch us live every single week and get some other goodies, including all the back episodes. And patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Before we move on here, Cece, so you guys read It for October for the book club, right? Is there a plan for November?
Actually, that was for September. October, we took a break. And November, I hadn't checked. I guess I should be on top of my stuff.
That's on you.
Yeah, you only got a day left.
Oh,
you know what
that's
happened?
true.
We went
Yes.
too many weeks without me calling you out, and you got complacent.
That is exactly what happened.
You've learned your lesson now.
Yes, and
All
I
right,
feel
Joe.
horrible.
Joe, while Cece figures that out, why don't you
Yes.
tell us what we're drinking this week?
Beer guts.
Yeah, we're doing a Jigsaw, which a lot of people may not realize is actually a continuation of the Saw franchise.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't piece that together. So Jigsaw is very much back, and in honor of his return, I picked a beer from one of my favorite breweries out in San Francisco, California, 21st Amendment, and this is their Back in Black, which is a black IPA, which I've talked about a few of these. Definitely like one of my favorite styles. I'm a big fan of stouts. I'm a big fan of IPAs. This kind of combines them together. So you get that hop bitterness sort of, along with the malty sort of roasted chocolate flavor. The two really balance each other out really well. I mean, the style's only been kicking around for like maybe 5 years, probably a little more, but it's not super new, or at least like readily available. But a handful of breweries are doing these, and I think 21st Amendment definitely is one of the better ones. So I wholeheartedly recommend them. Comes in about 6.8% alcohol, so a little bit higher than your usual beer, but kind of on par with an IPA. I was out back grilling this weekend and had like 7 or 8 of these and was still like feeling perfectly fine. So I think you should be fine there. everything 21st Amendment puts out is great. I think I've mentioned that the wife and I hit their brew pub a few years back, and it was super good. So their food is great. So I definitely recommend it if you're in the area to check them out. But they distribute pretty far throughout the U.S., so you should be able to find them in most of your locations. 21st-amendment.com is their website, and definitely check them out.
Nice. We had some of that stuff with us, right?
Yeah, I actually brought those up because I had a bunch from a party we had. So I brought a bunch up, and they went pretty quick, which did not surprise me.
Delicious.
Mm.
I drank a bunch of liquor, and I still feel like I'm going to die, Joe. So there you go. But it was good.
Well, that happened.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
to Cece's husband, I'm now addicted to gin. So
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah. I'm glad he could help you out.
Taking it to the next level.
Hey, Cece, do you want to talk to me about the book club now while I post
Yes,
on Patreon?
Yes, I'm prepared now. So for November, we are reading The Demonologist by Andrew Piper. And it is a historical fiction kind of, spooky good time. Read it. It's not that long.
That's what she said.
Wow. I went to, I started reading Feast for Crows.
Are you enjoying it?
I'm way into it.
Good.
I like the new perspectives, and
Good.
it's fleshing out parts of the world that the show clearly ignored in large senses.
Sure.
And I just got to my first Cersei chapter, and now I'm very excited. So,
Oh, that's a Game of Thrones thing?
yes, yep. I'm halfway through Graveyard Shift. I'm debating if I'm going to keep going or not, but I've been enjoying it so far.
I was gonna say, I thought you were talking about, graduating to some grown-up Stephen King.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm still. I think I might need to just get the Game of Thrones out of my system before I actually try to read anything else. But
Probably.
yeah.
I would recommend that.
Yeah. All right, guys. It is time. Let us take a quick break so that we can review Jigsaw.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
I will say, Joe, the only flaw in my plan to sit here in the dark with my jack-o'-lantern behind me is that I cannot see the audio board anymore, so I have to light it up with my phone in order to produce the show. I did not think that all the way through.
We are nothing if not professional.
So I didn't think this through. First of all, no word of the day, because Jay Schnarr's not here. I'm going to try to synopsize this movie right now.
Oh, I'm going to lay him and just say it would have been Jigsaw.
Yeah, Jigsaw. I'm trying to remember. So the last, what I didn't go back and check, which I should have, is what the F happened at the end of the last movie. All I can remember is that at the very end, the guy from Princess Bride comes back, who was in the first Saw, and he was all like, "I'm an apprentice of Jigsaw, and it was me." Do you remember that? Does anybody remember that at all?
I don't know if I saw the last one.
Wow.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. So anyway, you know what? I don't know that I can synopsize this movie. Do you want to do it, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull up.
I'm
the
literally
IMDb.
thinking about this movie, and I'm like, wait a second, what? I'm trying to remember how it started.
So pretty much it starts 10 years after what's his name dropped dead. The fella.
Good start.
Jigsaw.
Yeah. And pretty much we find ourselves in a room with 5 people hooked up in a pretty much Jigsaw-like setting.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. A bunch of people are chained up, and they're gonna get murdered with weird, elaborate things.
And pretty much we go through the same sort of setup that we do with every Jigsaw movie, where this group is going room to room, having to solve these puzzles, interspliced with a group of like detectives and these 2, are they coroners, or I don't know what you want to call them.
They're like forensic investigator type people.
Pretty much taking a look at the dead bodies that they're finding as Jigsaw is putting the people that are dying in the puzzles out into the public. So really you just kind of cut back and forth between them trying to find where these people are being held, trying to decide who's doing it, because we start getting recorded messages from John Kramer, who had supposedly died years ago, but his voice is on these things saying he's the one doing it. And that's kind of where we go with this thing. Like, it's the whole idea is who's doing it? Is John Kramer somehow back from the dead? And where can we find these people?
It's kind of amazing how every one of these movies is literally structured exactly the same way. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they've never broken out of the formula whatsoever.
No, why bother?
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are here.
Puzzle man.
Jason and Cece, is this both of your first times on a Saw show with us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably, I'm going to assume. Jason, you want to tell me what you thought of this, and also just like brief thoughts, like how caught up are you on the series?
I have seen the last one. I've seen every single Saw movie at this point, much to my chagrin. I've seen every single one. How I feel about this is that it's kind of what you said, which is I've seen this movie like 4 times at this point. It's really just a rehash of every single Saw movie since about the 3rd one. I think the first movie I like a lot. It does kind of, fall apart if you start picking at it, but it's fun and it gets the job done. This movie is not fun, and it's pretty boring in my opinion.
Casey.
Let's see. I've seen all of the Saw movies so far. I think I've been on every episode we've had on them. So however long we've been covering them since Jigsaw died, I guess.
Oh.
In the terms of the movie,
We picked up on 4. I want to say. I don't think we did 3.
Yeah, I don't think we did either. I never minded these movies. They were pretty much, it was something fun to go see on Halloween. I was never totally invested in the characters or anything like that was going on. I gave up probably around number 4 of trying to figure out and keeping track of everything in the storylines and stuff. This one I was kind of excited to see if they'd have some kind of big idea to justify bringing it back, and unfortunately they did not. This movie didn't do a whole lot for me. Like Jason said, it's a little boring. It's a complete rehash of everything we've seen. You're going to be able to figure this one out. You're going to be able to predict it, and I'm still left wondering why. Did we bother?
That's some deep life shit right there, Casey. Joe, how about you?
Shots fired. Actually, through a series of fortunate events, this is the first Saw movie I have ever been on for also.
Oh, wow. Have you seen any of the other? I mean, like,
I've seen all. I want to say maybe I did see the last one, and I just don't remember it. But I've definitely seen all except for, if not, the last one.
I mean, they're not like that related because they just make up shit in every movie. So it's like it doesn't almost kind of matter if you've seen the other ones.
I was never a big fan. I think the wife and I went through. I think we started watching them around 4, and then just kind of binged the first 4, and then just kind of kept watching them because we had seen that many. I didn't like the first one at all. Like I don't know. I have a problem with really shitty acting, and it just felt like it felt like I was watching Clerks in horror movie form.
Danny Glover's
I will say of the criticism I get a lot of the criticism I do hear on the first one, it's that they can't stand Lee Winnell.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Like, and I get that because he's definitely got like an affectation about him that's kind of persistent.
I would say my favorite of the series is 3, because I love me some Shawnee Smith. But
are we learning something about Joe tonight?
Oh yeah, she's great. She's so like deadpan, and she seems so angry. I'm a fan.
And there it is.
She seems like she would just like insult me, and I really like that. This one, I will not say that I liked this movie or loved it or anything, but I found it to be on par with probably 3 or any other one that I somewhat enjoyed. I think there's one character in this that keeps things a little lighthearted, which I think they kind of led you to believe this one would be more of from the trailer because they showed a lot of him. So I actually enjoyed him. Like I liked his character. And I kind of wish they went more that route. I mean, the parts I really wasn't super into was more back when we had like the forensic guys like trying to figure out what's going on. Because again, that's more of like the deadpan, like shitty acting that we get from a lot of these Saw movies. But I thought like the characters that were actually in the games themselves were entertaining enough, and like again, especially that guy. So I'm not saying I love this by any means, but I thought it was one of the better in the series.
Interesting. Cece.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to say besides that I agree with everyone. I have seen all of the Saw movies. I actually really liked the first and second one. I didn't mind like 3 and 4, but after that, I kind of fell off the train a little bit. And this, like everyone's saying, is super formulaic. There's nothing really exciting or even, I mean, it was just super boring. And I thought that it was going to be so bad that it was funny, but it couldn't even do that for me. So I don't know. I think I've outgrown the straight torture porn, and that's pretty much all this felt like.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, this series, like, coming back when it is, right? Like, this thing that Saw in a lot of ways kind of started is no longer in vogue. It's not the thing, everybody's making Waniverse style movies, including James Wan himself. And so it's weird for it to come back. So I think in your head, you start doing this mental gymnastics of, well, they must have come up with some kind of idea to make it, like somebody must have had a script and then they thought, oh man, this is great. Let's bring Jigsaw back, And so, the way it's marketed, they're using his face, you kind of have a lot of expectations. And then there's something kind of amazing when you then go into the movie and you're like, oh my God, they just made the same movie again.
Yeah.
And for people...
I fell for it, and I'm here.
Yeah, we got hoodwinked. But, to people who kind of aren't caught up with the series, too, the other thing you got to know is the way they've been doing these movies is so Jigsaw died 10 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, like that's not a surprise. Like everyone knew he was dead.
I'm pretty positive from the time we picked up, which would have been 4, I'm pretty positive that he was already dead. So he must have died in 3, I think. And then,
I think so.
It's been, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at this point or something? Like, I think this is 8, isn't it? And every movie has done the same thing. Same setup, a bunch of strangers in a room. You don't know who's doing it. And then at the end, you find out that one of your characters that you've been seeing in the movie has been a Jigsaw apprentice. And there was something especially really funny about, it was either 4 or 5 or 5 and 6, where they doubled back on their retcon, where like it was retconned in one movie, and they showed somebody setting up the traps, and then in the next movie, they showed how there was another person that person didn't know about that was doing this other thing, and it was actually, I feel at some point we actually started appreciating it for the up its own assness of it all. But again, it's like, so I'm gonna lay down a big fat spoiler alert right now because I just have to kind of say my biggest problem with this movie. So, spoiler alert, if you really want to keep Jigsaw mysterious in your life, you should stop listening. They did the thing that I've been saying they should do in the series for years, which is just bring Jigsaw back. I don't care how you do it. You know what? You ever seen Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason?
Of course I have.
Get Tom Matthews to stab his corpse in the chest with a thing from the cemetery, and then you walk away, and then the lightning hits it, and then he's awake. Literally, that's all you need. And they bring him back. All of a sudden, halfway through, 3/4 way through the movie, Jigsaw just shows up, and he's in the game, and he's talking to people, and you're kind of like, all right, they don't explain it, but I'm kind of just thinking,
I was
whatever.
okay with that.
Because at least...
Don't explain it.
At least your villain's back. I mean, the lack of a villain, I actually think, has hurt all of these movies. And I wonder if killing him off was just a really short-sighted thing. If they didn't really, I mean, I guess the whole thing is he has cancer, right? But they could have headed that off at the pass and had him be cured and still do. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they just like thought the series was gonna die long before it did, and it's backed them into a corner. And that combined with like how serious they take themselves, I feel like they're just not willing to do what needs to be done, which is just turn this shit crazy and silly. Because at the end, guess what? Their awesome plot thing of Jigsaw showing up, it's total bullshit. They swerve.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let's not even get to that. I guess like I want to walk through the plot a little bit. So let's talk about these people. Somebody tell me about these people in this room who are chained up. The big difference in this movie is that they're in a barn and not a like abandoned
like a
factory.
warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so here's a large part.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's the large part of the problem I have with this movie is we get introduced to these 5 people that are in the trap. We know God not a damn thing about them for far too long in the movie. They eventually get to what everybody did, but it's long enough for us to either make up a decision to either care about them or not care about them, or hope that they see an untimely end because they're awful people. And so you're sitting here for 20 minutes watching 5 people you know nothing about and don't care about having to deal against this. These traps
I will
are.
say there's a really great moment early on. So the first scene, they wake up in a room, they've all got buckets strapped to their heads with chains, and then the game starts and the chain starts pulling them towards a wall with like saws in it. But there was a great bit where they had all been knocked out to put there, which is to get put there, which is what happens. But the one dude isn't awake yet, so he's getting dragged across the floor. That was actually like kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is Saw, though, right? Saw is random strangers. We find things out about them over the course of the movie, and I mean, it's usually shouted, and it's usually under the threat of death, and that's like the movie.
Yeah.
From beginning to end.
Have you ever noticed?
The twist is.
I was just gonna say, have you ever noticed too that like they cast LA people in these movies? Like, when you look at them and they don't look like characters; they look like struggling actors.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a really weird thing, but every one of these movies, it's like those are not real people.
It does. It does look like they're on break from their waiter job.
Yeah, exactly.
They signed up for a casting call and they just woke up in a barn.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
God.
Like, listen,
You'll
are we?
be girl in leather jacket and fishnets.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Are we done yet? I got a shift at Stumptown coming up. I got to get back.
Maybe that'll be Jigsaw too.
Yeah. Jason brought up a really good point over email, which is this continuing idea that, or maybe it was Joe, nothing ever goes wrong with these. Like, every movie they've just gotten increasingly more elaborate, and they also seem to rely on knowing exactly what people are going to do in these situations.
Right.
Well, that's kind of my frustration. Like, and sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like with every one of these movies, by like room 3 or whatever, and like especially in this one, it's like, all right, if I go in this room, something awful is gonna happen. Like, maybe I should look around before I walk in and see. Like, perfect example, and I don't think this is spoiling and everything, but like, there's one where there's a tape recorder hanging from a wire at the top of a grain silo, and to that point, they've gone through like 2 or 3 of these rooms where you pull the recorder down, it snaps something, and something awful starts happening. Meanwhile, they could have just taken like a rake or something and maybe pulled it down and not actually gone in the room, or like it's like these people have like no sort of logic or like reasoning when they go into these rooms, and it gets more and more frustrating as the movie goes on.
Have you never seen a Saw movie before?
And we know they had access to that because the girl, when she gets out of the silo, almost falls into the pitchfork.
Well, yeah, and also like in that same scene, they rely on the fact that this one guy is going to try and go through this door that he's not supposed to and get stuck, and like the whole puzzle hinges on him cutting off his own leg. But there would, if he hadn't gone up and fell through that wall, then nothing would have happened.
There had to be a B
puzzle
plan.
would have been negated.
What I really appreciate about that scene is that at some point Jigsaw just starts throwing fucking knives at them.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
like just everything, just kitchen sink into the silo. But like, I thought that what Joe brought up was actually going to happen though, because you have the character who throws the rebar into the motorcycle engine, or the wheel that the engine is making this giant thing spin around this person who's suspended into it. Like, I thought that was going to actually stop the torture device, and it was going to change the route of the game, and it was literally like, nope, just a hiccup here, everything's still okay. Like, I've never seen any mechanism work as well as his stuff does.
That's the thing. Like, and we've gone through like 8 movies of this,
right?
And like, nothing has ever gone wrong. Like, my fucking garage door breaks every other week. Yet this guy's got like these elaborate puzzles with like it's like the fucking Goonies where the ship comes out.
Well, it's all
like every
Jaws of Life.
Really poorly kept. Like, this stuff has been in these barns forever, or warehouses, and everything's just squeaky clean.
It's a good point too about the knives and saws being thrown at them not making any sense, because Jigsaw's whole thing is putting people in these situations to like uncover their souls or whatever. It's all about them
actually survive.
It's all about them making the decision, but that test wasn't even about the two of them, and they could have easily died from those things falling on top of them, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
this whole game would have been meaningless, basically.
But that
Yeah,
happens
that's a good
multiple
point.
times. Like we kind of talked about it in email. Like when you see the twist later on in the movie, there's a scene where Jigsaw's MO is completely changed. Like he sets these people up in these these devices because they have some horrible mistake to pay for, and yet this one person is just there because Jigsaw's kind of pissed off at him, and it's like,
Yeah, because he made a mistake.
yeah, because he made a mistake, not because he like killed someone or
Yeah.
like viciously ruined someone else's life.
The
I
other,
like the cut of your jib.
the other thing is they alternate between either not being observant enough or in some cases oddly way too observant. Like in the second room, once they're like revealed to be in the barn, and then the chains start pulling them up, and they're basically hanging by their necks, which I don't understand how that wouldn't kill you instantly. But the guy's hanging from his neck, and then he somehow notices, like 10 feet to his right, there's a recorder. So there's the Jigsaw puppet comes out. It's got a recorder on its person, and nobody in the room notices. But then once they're being hung by their necks, he looks over to the right of him, like 5-10 feet away, and is like, "Oh my God, there's a recorder on that thing. I'm gonna go over and get it." It's like he's struggling for his life, and then he notices it.
Well, I
That's
mean,
because
what
he got
about
to see it from a new angle. He was
Oh,
great
yeah.
stuff.
but in the same scene, they realize that the numbers on the syringes will open the door, like the combination to the door, but then you have them going into a silo in the next room and basically suffocating. Like, it's just, it doesn't make, there's no consistency. Like, if you're going to be dumb, just be dumb the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, don't, like, fluctuate.
Well,
you know?
and to the point that we
Yeah.
got to over email, which is these things just take themselves so GD seriously, and I don't understand it. When you made this many of these, why are you still taking everything like just so dreadfully serious?
Yeah.
If anything, it's hamstringing what I think under the right tutelage could still be a fun series
Sure.
if they let it evolve
Yeah.
and kind of evolve with the times a little bit. It's just like it feels so outdated and so forced.
It's
Well, I
kind of
could
like what we
see,
talked about. I'm sorry,
go
I was
ahead,
going to
Chris.
say.
No, go ahead.
It's kind of like what we talked about with the Purge movies between Purge 1 and Purge 2. They made a lot of changes going to Purge 2. We enjoyed Purge 2 a lot more because they didn't take themselves so seriously. They went over the
Yeah.
top. It was a little cheesy and it was enjoyable. They could have applied the same formula here.
Well, I want to say, I can see some fans saying to themselves, listening to this, why are you nitpicking the fuck out of this movie?
Sure.
Yeah,
And
that's the point.
Because they
Um,
made it.
well, yeah, but we would never
The
nitpick.
show would be 10 minutes long if we
Friday
didn't do
the
it, Jason.
13th this way. There's a ton of logic flaws. The difference is that this movie predicates itself on logic,
On its logic.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
and it fails in almost every sense of it
Yeah.
making any logical. Agatha Christie couldn't make this fucking thing work. Like this mystery, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
It
that's a
doesn't
good
work from
point.
beginning to end.
I will say too that so it's funny we're talking about it and it sounds goofy and oh this might be fun, but it's actually kind of
Yeah.
interminably boring in a lot of ways.
Yes, it's
And
so boring.
I was like pretty tired, and I may or may not have dozed off during part of this movie. So let's put it this way: the last time I remember being awake, there were 3 people still alive, and then I woke up and there were 2 people alive, and they were in the final room. You know what? I woke up as Jigsaw revealed himself, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I feel like I missed a crucial part of this, but maybe not.
You didn't.
So I don't know what happened to the black dude. I do not know how he died.
You got cut up in that.
Yeah, he got
scene.
cut up in that cycle thing.
He was in the motorcycle thing.
Because she shoves a piece of rebar into the
Okay,
wheel.
so that I saw.
Wait a minute.
So I think
he gets chopped up and he gets hung in the forensic pathologist, like her studio. Like you find out she's obsessed with Jigsaw and she has a studio where she has recreated all of his devices.
I saw.
Yeah. So when the detective opens the door, the guy's body falls out of her closet and it's all like cut up and jangly.
Chopped up.
Wait a minute. He's there, in case you missed this, Eric, because he sold Jigsaw's nephew
That's it.
a motorcycle with no brakes, which his nephew proceeded to get up to speeds of 60 miles an hour before he tested the brakes.
This
Yeah.
Really, I think it's the nephew's fault.
What a
Yeah, if your
shitty
nephew's
life
dumb
this
enough-
Kramer guy's had, right?
Yeah,
Like
he's-
just like this guy like swapped my tag and I didn't find I had cancer. Like someone sold my nephew a shitty
Well,
motorcycle.
and his wife got like beat up, and I mean, he's had a
Like
bad
it-
run of it.
At some point, you got to turn and
She-
think like
I
God's
did-
punishing me for something.
I did I did see all that actually, so maybe I only missed like a short part and then woke up and went, huh. But yeah, so I forgot what I was gonna say. There was something about Jigsaw.
Well, so okay, if we're talking about spoilers, Jigsaw shows up, but then they try and do this like double twist, and you're just kind of like, what like this doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense. Like I get where they were trying to go with it, but they flopped bringing Jigsaw back. Like if you're gonna bring back the villain, then like you said, just make him be alive. Like I don't care how it happened. I don't care how he survived. But he literally shows up and it's just like a cameo. And I'm like, you named the movie after this dude, and it's basically him just saying, "Oh hey, remember
Yeah.
me?"
Guys, they've
yeah.
done this twist 4 times.
Right. It's
There's
just-
been 4 apprentices.
yeah.
I gotta say too, I don't understand. So we can kind of get into it. So Jigsaw reveals himself, and there's 2 people left at this point. There's also like, I mean, honestly, we're not gonna be able to explain all this, but I'll lay it out a little bit. Like, there's these 2 investigators, and the 2 forensic people, and the cop investigating, and you don't know, like, any one of them could be involved, and so they're kind of tracking everything down, and then you're seeing Jigsaw in the room with the last 2 people. I don't understand. So I don't know. Can somebody walk me through the reveal?
Well, Jason, if you want to, you're probably a little more eloquent about it.
That's probably not true at all. There's the detective, right? And there's the forensics. Logan, I think is his name, correct? The forensics
Sounds right.
doctor. And
Wait, which reveal are we talking about? The Kramer one or the final
Well, I
one?
guess both of them. Just lay it out.
Okay, so essentially, there's a couple things here, right? First of all, there's it's revealed, they finally get to the final room. Who's left is the girl who, which I thought was a great reveal. And there was, is there one more person left? Oh yes, there was a guy with no leg,
It's the one
right?
leg guy.
the one leg guy, who I guess his crime was tax evasion or something, or being having affluenza. I think that's what his crime was. And then Jigsaw kind of walks out, right? And
In the pig
sets
mask.
in a pig mask, sets a sawed-off shotgun on the table, right? Shows them the shotgun shell, says, "Hey, this is the key to your salvation." The girl, stupidly, who hasn't, I guess, been paying attention to anything that's been going on, proceeds to then attempt to shoot the other guy. He had pointed the shotgun shell in the other direction, which then blew her face off, as opposed to the guy she was pointing the shotgun at. Inside were the keys to get them out. If they had chosen just to take the case and the shell out and open it, they could have taken the keys and both been free, right? I think then that's what happens, right?
No, I just
Yeah,
you sound
no.
exasperated, and it's making me laugh.
Yeah.
Want to interject?
Oh, you roboted out for a second. So here it is. Jigsaw is not alive.
No.
Boom. There it is. Jigsaw
Okay.
is not alive.
No, it's 10 years. The 10
Yeah.
years earlier.
Because what we discover is that what we've been seeing the entire movie is actually like a prequel flashback to Jigsaw's, like, I guess, first game.
Mhm.
Yes.
Although I'd
It was
love,
before what we saw in the first movie, supposedly.
yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love to know how many like already retconned things that messes with. But anyway, basically, we're led to believe that this was his first game. It was done on a family farm of his wife's family, and that everything else we've been seeing with the forensic people and the investigator is actually taking place like in the present, And we think that they're rushing to the scene to save the people we've been seeing, but in actuality, those people have been dead for 10 years. And then it's revealed that well, I can't even remember who the actual Jigsaw person was. It was
Logan.
it was the main medical investigator dude, who's
Who
kind
was
of
the? Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No. So it turned out he was the guy that we talked about in the front, who was like the fifth person in that room being dragged, who was still unconscious.
Yeah.
Right, and that he survived Jigsaw's first game, or Jigsaw let him go.
Yeah, he let him
Yeah,
go. He
he
didn't survive it.
He was the medical tech who screwed up Jigsaw's X-ray when he had cancer, and that's why it spread that he couldn't get treated. And he put him in his game, but then Jigsaw broke basically all of his logic from 7 movies and decided, no, never. Like right as he was about to die, was like, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna let you go. I think this was a mistake.
Yeah.
The heart
then-
wants what the heart wants.
And then
After I let a bunch of circular saws dig into your back.
Yeah.
right, and then he actually, spoiler alert, he actually becomes the proto Jigsaw apprentice by and then so he helped Jigsaw put together his first game, I guess. But that means that's what's hilarious, right? So that means that he has been alive for every other Saw movie and not been involved at all somehow, even though he was
Well,
the
because
original.
he went to war. He went off
That's
to war.
right.
No, but
Okay.
he was there.
No.
'Cause-
Oh yeah. No, he didn't go to war because that was the whole reason why.
yeah, PTSD.
Yeah, he had PTSD, and that was kind of
before
like,
he became a nurse, though.
Yeah, so he came back from the war, became a nurse, jacked
Then
up
fucked
the
up, yeah.
jacked
Where
up
the
the
fuck did he
X-ray.
go then?
I'm just saying it seems improbable.
I mean, I guess he got married and had his kid because his daughter is about 10 in the movie. So maybe he was just busy being a dad until his wife died.
How on
but
earth
then
did you
Come
remember
to
that?
find out, but then come to find out, the detective let somebody go because he like took a bribe, let some bad guy go, and then that bad guy killed Logan's wife. So Logan ends up wanting to kill the detective because of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the moral.
Exactly that.
The moral.
Yes!
The moral for me is that A, I fell asleep, and B, I can't tell you how disappointed I was with this twist. I just audibly groaned of like, dudes,
Yeah.
you guys, you had it. You had it in your hands. This wasn't a great movie, but you did the thing you should have just done like 10 years ago, which is retcon some bullshit. You could retcon all this other bullshit. You can't figure out a way to keep Jigsaw alive or bring him back. Either retcon make him Tupac and that he faked his death, or
hologram.
yeah, or bring his
Wish it
ass
had been a hologram.
bring his ass back as a zombie. Listen, I'm reading Game of Thrones right now. It happens in Game of Thrones. We just watch Reanimator. It happens in Reanimator. It's a horror movie. Cook up some dumb bullshit to bring it back and make this series fun and stop taking yourself so friggin' seriously.
At least give your fans, especially if you're after how many of them were there before this? Like 7 of them.
Something like
So
that.
we're coming back for like number 8, let's say, just to slap a number on it. You're doing this mostly for the fans and trying to drum up new interest in the stuff. So if nothing else, even if you're not going to come up and make Jigsaw supernatural, give us somebody that existed earlier in the franchise to make all of your diehards who have been there through everyone say, oh shit, I didn't think about that guy. But
I mean,
we get somebody that's completely random.
The problem is that they've either killed everybody off or like in the last movie they did it, right? They brought back the guy from the first movie and he's
Carrie Ells.
Yeah, and he's the apprentice. But like they only were able to get him back for the last 5 minutes of the movie because he doesn't want anything to do with that shit. So what do you do now?
Yeah.
But he's out there running around, right? He's alive at the end of the last movie. I don't know. It's like the real answer is that this series should just be dead because at this point it's horseshit and there's nothing left for it to say. And so that's the thing is the kind of interesting thing about the original Saw was the moralizing of the villain. And that kind of gave it this interesting plot thing that other movies like this don't have. But guess what? Like I've heard the same bullshit for 8 movies now, and it's not profound. It wasn't really profound to begin with, but at least we could pretend like it was. But now it's just
It was different.
It's different. Now it's just kind of rote, and it's like, really, why? What's the point in bringing this stuff back continuously? I don't.
Yeah.
At least if you're not going to give us somebody that's already existed or figure out some way to bring Jigsaw back, give us somebody that's fucked up Jigsaw's message and has just gone crazy and is going to do his own thing or something. Yeah. But no, We're not
Because
going to get that.
Because it would be great if all the apprentices were in a game and somebody went rogue and so someone went rogue, put all the apprentices in a game, and then it's just like a total left turn from Jigsaw's original plan.
But the other thing is though, like Tobin Bell has actually got a really interesting presence on screen. And so, you know, that's the other thing these movies have ran into is that without that, they have no personality. It's just all of these struggling actors.
Honestly, I think the best way to have gone forward this too, which they hinted at they hinted at doing. They could have gone because cults are big right now. If you look at pop culture, TV and stuff like that, cults are big. They could have done a Jigsaw cult easily. Especially they talked about this website that the one corner girl was all obsessed with, and she was rebuilding traps and shit like that. Make it a cult. Make it like 7 people that are fucking with these people for some reason.
And at least try to break up with the formula. I mean, literally the plot structure in this thing is identical. It's pretty nuts.
The only other thing that's going to save this franchise at this point is if they go back and do prequels of when Tobin Bell went to engineering school.
They do show like a very brief scene with his apprentice where he's like building something, and I did have this thought of like, man, this guy's like an amazing builder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, they're building
that broken.
They're building that bear trap from the first movie. That's how we know that Logan was in there from the beginning. So at one point, if you pay attention to all these movies and all the retconning they've done, at some point, this serial killer who's avoided being caught by the police up until he died of cancer had at least 3 different people working for him.
I really need somebody out there in TV land to cook up like a flow chart of all these apprentices and how they interacted with each other and timelines. I think that would be really funny to try to actually visualize it.
I just need someone explaining what the fuck retconning is.
Retconning.
Oh, John, that was the word of the day once.
Yeah,
these Saw movies.
Retconning is when you go back and you basically either add something or change something from your story in order to continue it. So like, oh, Jigsaw's dead, but a retcon would be like, oh, never mind. When we did this movie, you find out that he was saved at the very end. So it's like when you go back to cover your tracks to try to create more plot because it had been closed off, basically.
And where does this come from? Like,
I'd say a comic book thing.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, like it came from comic books in the way that they just continually retcon their stories to keep them going.
It's basically changing your history of your characters to make it fit wherever you're heading the story. So the literal retconning in this one is they went back to Jigsaw's first puzzle before the first movie, and Logan helped him out and has been helping him since then.
I do want to say too. Go ahead.
I would say this is basically retcon the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like this
the
series is just
what it is.
retcon, and why don't we just retcon it into something fun?
My final thought is that I am continuously impressed by their ability to cast like bootleg action stars as their leads, like dudes who kind of look like a handsome movie star but not totally. Like it's like a little off.
It's like the Costco version of it.
It's like the dollar store. Yeah, exactly.
It's like those knockoff ones you see in like the video store. Like when Twister came out, there was like Tornado.
But every single movie, like just when you think they've exhausted Hollywood's supply of those dudes, they find another one. There's actually 2 of them in this movie.
There's probably plenty of them floating around Hollywood.
All right, guys, would you recommend Jigsaw, Jason?
Nah.
Casey?
Nope.
Jojo?
I'd say it's worth a home watch.
Really?
Yeah, you know, if you've seen this many, like I think this one is pretty far down on the offensive totem pole.
Isn't that a bitch when you've seen like 7 of a series and you're like, well, I guess I have to see this one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I get that though. I totally get that.
Here we are.
Cece?
No.
I'm gonna say no also. So there you have it. Jigsaw. Let's do a quick break and do some fan mail.
Young Frankenstein, the scariest comedy of all time, is back with chills, thrills, and spills. Starring Gene Wilder, Marty Feldman, Peter Boyle, and Madeline Kahn.
No tongue.
Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein is back. Rated PG.
Now showing at theaters near you. Check your newspaper.
Hey, I'm Tom Atkins. Thrill Me. You're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. I gotta say, when we see a bad movie, there's something really, like, I'm really glad we're doing the show on a Monday. There's something cathartic of just about, like, getting it out, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. We got a bunch of nice feedback from people who made it out to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. First up, Christopher, Super Vince. Hey, BGH crew. Thanks for throwing such an excellent 10th anniversary event. It was fun to meet you all in person after 9 years of listening since the Ginger Snaps episode. The distillery was excellent, Shelton's trivia top-notch, Reanimator was great as always, and the Oriental Theater was a beautiful setting for it. Glad you all liked the gift bags. Still wondering why Schnars chose Cinderella over Terror Vision. Happy to be able to say thank you for everything. Happy 10th, Chris in Madison. So Chris is the one that brought us the gift bags with VHS. It's funny, I ended up with Wishmaster because they were all gone by the time I got to it, and then I was like, I'm pretty sure I already own Wishmaster on VHS. It's still special.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was really sweet, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that
Thank
was.
I love
you.
my copy of
And I'm
Christine.
so bad. I wanted Christine.
No, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
I was blown away just generally that anybody brought us stuff. So,
I'm excited if we ever end up back there. I got a free drink token.
dude, I totally snagged 2 of them just for keepsake.
I'm pretty sure that does not work just at the bar.
Next up, Ethan says, my wife and myself had a fantastic time at the anniversary party. We reside relatively close to Milwaukee, so naturally we were elated when it was announced. Getting to meet and speak with most of the BGH crew was a special experience as I have been listening for at least 5 years. My wife is admittedly a horror movie novice and not familiar with BGH at all. It was an enlightening experience for her all the same. She was able to see why I enjoy the podcast so much and even now has a small grasp on why the horror community is so special. We especially loved the trivia questions, Go Underdogs, and got to meet some new folks along the way. The event was coordinated perfectly with drinks and food, and the venue was accommodating as can be. I can't end this email without giving a shout out to the amazing Oriental Theater. It is a gorgeous, truly special theater with an environment like I've never experienced before. Seeing a classic film like Reanimator surrounded by real fans and, of course, the endlessly entertaining BGH crew and community is an experience we won't soon forget. Although I admit the sea of alcohol enjoyed beforehand and the late night added an element of surrealism. That's true. Again, thanks for the super fun night. It was everything I hoped it would be. That's from Ethan. Yeah, man, I mean, we talked about it on the wrap up from the last show, but I can't say enough about the Oriental Theater. Shit blew.
It was amazing.
As soon as I walk in, it was like
Life-changing.
mind blown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been to old theaters and I thought I kind of knew what to expect, but I was like, this is like legit shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It had a freaking orchestra pit. As a former music major and band nerd, that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you live
It was
anywhere,
gorgeous.
if you live anywhere near that place, man, you got to get it in. All right, next up is from Barry. Hey, BGH crew. This past Saturday was one of the best times my friend and I have had in a long time. After a 6-hour drive from, we should mention too, Barry was on the captain of the winning trivia team, let's call him.
Yeah.
It occurs to me too as I'm looking at this. I think I might have missed a few emails, so maybe while you do tweets, Joe, I'll try to track them down.
Yeah, sure.
This past Saturday was one of the best times my friend and I have had in a long time. After a 6-hour drive from suburban Minnesota, checking into a definitely haunted hotel, nearly being killed from both a mob of Michigan Spartan fans at the Irish pub, and not knowing we were walking across a lift bridge with malfunctioning traffic gates. We finally made it to Great Lakes Distillery. Then the real debauchery truly began. From the greetings at the entrance from the smiling Chris Wells and bespectacled Schnars, slurring hellos from the Newell brothers, and the charismatic salesmanship of Joe at the merch table, we knew we were welcome. And then the trivia began. I'm still disappointed in myself that we couldn't capture the image of Eric giving us double middle fingers, or either the audio of him frequently yelling, writer cast member, "You are fired," or Joe's impromptu karaoke with Shelton. After the distillery, we were off to the Reanimator screening at my new vision of heaven, the landmark Oriental Theater. I'm not sure I exactly want to know what Andy had to do in order to secure the showing, but it was truly more than worth it. From the copious amounts of delicious spirits and beer, the Reanimator drink was our favorite. the life-saving sushi truck, and the unforgettable friends we made. If you needed any further proof that BGH has helped build not just a fan community, but a horror family, you need look no further. Thanks to you all for the fantastic, hilariously drunken weekend, and we anxiously await the announcement for the next meetup. Team Warts is looking forward to a trivia rematch with Team BGH Page 1. Notice he did not say the new class there. Have a happy spooky season.
Hater.
Scared.
And once again, congrats on 10 years. You really, truly are bloody good horror. Barry and Caleb from Minnesota, and they sent some photos, which were cool. It was all stuff that has been on Twitter and stuff. So, yeah, that was really nice. I asked people to kind of send me in their thoughts. I'm looking quick here to see if I missed anybody's.
Yeah, why don't I do BGH Classics while
Sure.
you're doing it? So we're on Twitter at BG Horror. We use 2 different hashtags. If you're listening to old episodes and something tickles your fancy, you can use the hashtag BGH Classics. We got a couple this week. First from Alexandra Ensky, or at Antry Groskin T, whatever. Says this is a back and forth between me and Mark from episode 424. Mark, speaking of fucks and stuff, and then Joe, that was my favorite Care Bear, fucks and stuff. And then one from at Library O Congress, episode 334. Eric, what was the toy line with dinosaurs with guns strapped to them? And then Caesar replies, Street Sharks. Eric, yes, Cece, Street Sharks.
Oh, I love Street Sharks though.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's hateful.
Dinosaurs with guns.
Pretty good.
That's it for BGH
You remember that,
Classics.
Joe, right? The dinosaurs with the guns?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Shit was crazy.
I do remember those.
Anything on your end, Eric?
Did
or
we
should I
get an
just go
email? Yeah, I have one from Alyssa. I thought we got something from Monica, but now I can't find it.
I think that might
right?
have been on Slack. She sent us stuff.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look. All right, this one's from Alyssa. Alyssa's a longtime fan and writer-in of the show. She's also a patron, hangs out on Slack. She says, I wanted to email you to tell you how much of a blast Saturday night was. It was great finally getting to meet people like Cece, who I've become very close to, and just get to hang with everyone. The trivia was insane, but so much fun to try. It sort of felt like a family reunion, only everybody was drunk. So that's for me, just a regular family reunion. Thank you for the 10 years, and I hope there are 10 more. Love, Alyssa.
Oh.
Also, she sent along her favorite picture from the evening, which, oh no, it's not, I gotta fix the aspect. But it's where Joe is carrying drunk Reanimator Schnars. It's pretty good stuff.
I'm taking him out to the car. All right. And then back on Twitter, we also use the hashtag AskBGH. We post it up every week, so you can chime in with questions or comments. First up from at Blue Daisy 90, she says, what are y'all going to be for Halloween?
A dad with a job.
Yep, same.
Me too.
I was a pumpkin head. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
A pumpkin.
I'm going to be a dad with a job that's bought a pumpkin mask.
There you go. Next up from at PS Gunther 1313, wondering if you guys have seen Hell House LLC. If not, I would recommend for a future show.
Hell House LLC.
I've heard that recommended a couple times. We'll have to put it on the list.
Started watching it, but I never finished it. But I heard it was good. So.
Next up from our good friend at Freddie NOTLP, he says, do you think that, quote, she gets off on this shit, unquote?
Oh, yeah, they said that about the lady, doctor lady.
Yes.
Yeah, who clearly she did.
Yeah.
Yes, clearly.
Sure. Next up from at...
I got to say, too, so I went and listened to, I was catching up on Night of Living podcast, and Andy, who a lot of us have met, are friends with for years, he said on their show that he was planning to come out to our 10-year thing. It would have been like an 8-hour drive, but he was like going to do it. And then he ate like a gallon of ice cream himself the night before, even though he knows he's lactose intolerant. And so he couldn't make it out the next day because he was sick.
Jesus.
To which Mark responded that that's the most Andy story that he's ever heard. So
very much so, yeah.
But yeah, they gave us a really nice shout out 2 episodes ago. So that was hitting them up on Twitter this morning.
Next one from @Lycanthropy. What are your kiddos gonna be for Halloween? Mia is going as a pirate.
I believe that we have 2 costumes because that's just what happens when your kid's really cute and your wife's the first time she can buy costumes. I think
Yeah.
one of them is like a ladybug, and I'm not sure what the other one is.
Nice.
That one's cute.
Yeah,
It's nice. I have one Yoda and one Chewbacca.
nice.
Oh,
That's good too.
It's adorable.
Eh.
Casey.
I have a Arby's worker.
Oh, there you go.
She has to work on Halloween.
Yeah.
Ugh, hateful.
Next up, we got 2 from @Skizbot. First is Poltergeist and the Addams Family are my 100% must-watch every Halloween movies. Do you guys have movies you absolutely need to watch when spooky season hits?
I watch Halloween 4 almost every year. I actually watched it this weekend, and I watched Halloween 5, which I hadn't actually seen in a few years. But those are kind of my 2 that I go for.
I always
Colleen and I
watch-
watch Halloween, and then over the last few years we started adding Trick or Treat.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I always watch Scream. I know that it's not Halloween, but
No, I'm into
I like
that.
it.
I
Yeah.
love the original Scream. It's really good.
Nightmare Before Christmas is the only one that we do every year.
that one's a good one.
And I actually, for the first, I rewatched Creep this year. I'm like way into Creep. I think
Yeah,
it's.
it's great.
I made Kyle watch it because I wanted him to watch Creep 2 with me, and he was like, I simultaneously hate and love this movie.
I mean,
so there's that.
the thing that kind of blew me away the most is it still is really unsettling on the second. I know. I think I was talking about this a couple weeks ago, but
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, that was the 3rd time that I'd watched it, and I was still like, this is super creepy.
yeah, you feel that awkwardness of being stuck in that situation with a really intense person that's like up in your space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, anything on your list?
Original Halloween. Usually go, Nightmare on Elm Street too. Original Nightmare.
That's a good
it's always
one.
a good one. Yeah, I mean, usually those are the 2. I really tend to, and this is when I like to go back to Night of the Creeps. I watch.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. We usually hit that one. We didn't this year though. All right, one other from @Skizbot. What is the best spooky season food, and why is it most definitely chili?
It's chili.
Vegetarian chili.
I'm
It's pumpkin seeds.
hot take. Yeah, pumpkin seeds. I mean, I like candy corn, but I can't really eat it anymore, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
I love it. I don't know.
really,
I'm in
really-
the Midwest. I gotta go brats.
Nice.
No, chili or like Brunswick stew. Good spooky
We
time.
did a couple weeks ago. I made my father-in-law's recipe for his authentic Italian pasta sauce. So that was a nice all-day cooking session, and then nice hot meal at the end of it.
Nice.
You cook it with all the meat in it. That's the key.
Yeah.
It's basically
Yeah.
meat sauce.
All right, we got 2 more.
Home roasted pumpkin seeds is what I look forward to more than anything else every year.
It's a lot of work to get them right, though. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I got Colleen for.
I would
She's good
say,
she's a good cook, so.
I would say a vegetarian chili slowly being slurped by John Schnars.
There was nothing slow or gentle about the way that
Oh,
was being
that's true.
slurped.
Yes.
All right, next up from our very own Sophie @PhilliesFem. What's the hardest puzzle you've ever completed?
Adulthood.
Yeah.
Life,
Have I
man.
completed that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. That's fair.
At
Buying
my,
a house.
At my desk, me and my little co-pilot who sits next to me, we have like a giant area between our 2 desks. So we've started doing 1,000-piece puzzles in that area. And there was one, it was literally just a blue crab, like a crab in the middle of the ocean. 1,000 piece which was pretty much just like a crab with blue around it, which took us a decent amount of time. Pretty hefty, but yeah, we put together some really hard ones.
I can't do actual physical puzzles. I just they give me anxiety. Like I know it's
I love it.
relaxing for some people, but I can't do it.
Yeah,
for
I find
me,
it super relaxing.
for me, actual a puzzle I did probably would be in a video game, but I can't actually remember one off the top of my head.
I occasionally do the New York Times crossword puzzle. That's that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, my father does crossword puzzles every week, and then when we go visit home, my wife and I are always trying to help him with weird random millennial questions that he can't answer.
Yeah, Kyle likes puzzles, and I'm like, I'll pass. No thanks.
God, it's like we're meant to be.
I know it is. Y'all are hard. I know I should have left him up there with you, but
Did you listen, Cece, to the last show?
I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
I need to.
We definitely weren't talking at length about how handsome your husband is in real life.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is I need to make sure he listens to this episode, that episode, right?
I don't know if I'm comfortable with that actually.
Okay, well I'll listen and just secondhand tell him.
All right, and then last but not least, from our good friend at Wine Movie Nerd. Aside from Jigsaw, can you name a single other character in the franchise? Because despite seeing 8 of these movies, I cannot.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah, but what's his character?
That's not the character.
That's not his character.
Cop. Mick. Cop.
Carrie Ells.
Oh, there was that guy from Linkin Park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Chester
His
Bennington.
face, he gets his face shoved off.
Yeah.
And, what?
All I can
Shawnee.
remember
Yeah,
is
what is Shawnee Smith's character, Joe?
I don't know.
Angry.
Shawnee Smith.
Chief seductress.
I remember Costas Mandalore just
Yes.
because that's a cool name.
Yeah, how is that? How funny is that? We remember the name Costas Mandalore, but we could not tell you the character's name.
There was also that gal who won the. There was like that MTV show, or was it on VH1, where it was like Scream Queens, where you got a chance, or the prize was to be in the movie.
Did she have to cut off her whole arm in the movie she was in?
I think so. Yeah.
Wait,
I think she was in 4.
Jigsaw's wife has a name I feel like I should be able to remember.
Mrs. Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Miss Saw.
John Kramer.
That's his name, yeah. But
That's
what?
Jigsaw's name.
But I remembered it's a character.
Cosmo, right?
Danny. Okay, I just remember the actors. I don't actually remember
And that's it for tweets.
Danny Glover in the original Saw just looks confused. Like he's not quite sure where he is.
He's like, how did I end up here?
Isn't that most of his roles later on in his career?
Yeah, it's fair.
He's getting too old for this.
It's like, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah, damn it, Joe.
Speaking of, did you guys see that they're floating out a new Lethal Weapon?
Yeah, I saw that.
Holy Christ.
Yeah.
The Lethal Weapon TV show is actually not terrible.
I love it.
Joe.
Oh my God.
Joe, I got a question for you, because last week we were talking about how as you get older, sometimes you just see a trailer for a terrible movie and think like, oh, I could get into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about this trailer for this sequel with Mark Wahlberg and...
oh my God, that's not even an age thing.
It looks funny to me. What is wrong with me?
Did you see the first one? It's hilarious.
No, I did not.
It's good. Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell together.
Yeah.
The Other Guys is
The Other
funniest
Guys.
goddamn movie ever made.
That movie,
I did
yeah.
like that
underrated.
What is this movie called? Because I can't ever remember from the trailer.
Daddy's
Home too?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's about they're like divorced, and one of them is like Will Ferrell's the stepdad. Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like every time I watch that trailer, I'm like, I still think this is funny, and
Dude,
it like
I cannot wait.
it pains me.
It's gonna be hilarious.
Are
I
you
don't
gonna-
feel so bad about liking Grown Ups too then.
Oh no, you should.
Yeah.
No.
I want to get chocolate wasted too.
Oh god. I only know that line from listening to that podcast with the New Zealand dudes who made themselves watch it every week for a year.
Jesus.
That's amazing.
I remember when you were listening or watching that.
I wonder whatever happened to those guys. I mean, it was really interesting for the first few episodes, but they got so depressed, like 6 or 7 episodes in, I couldn't listen to it anymore. Like they were
some other movie.
They were angry. They were so mad at themselves. It was like
I like it.
Became really depressing. Yeah.
That's it for tweets though.
Boom. Boom goes the dynamite, Joe. That's what they say.
Uh-huh. And boom goes the dynamite.
Next week, Creep 2. Schnars isn't here, so I'm calling it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can watch it on Halloween and have the weekend to myself.
See? Perfect.
There you go. CC Book Club.
The Demonologist by Andrew Piper.
And if you go to the site, bloodygoodhorror.com, you can click on the book club link and get all the pertinent info, and you can join. You can be in CC's book club.
Yes, on Goodreads, or you can just go to Goodreads and search Bloody Good Horror.
You don't have to be a patron. You don't even have to be able to read good. Well, maybe that's important, but it's up to you.
Yeah, you don't have to. We take a lot of breaks, so
You could
it's
do
okay.
you could do the book on tape.
You could.
Yeah.
You could. I've done a lot of the books on tape.
Yeah.
What?
And
Yeah.
Joe just looks so upset.
Fuck.
The truth comes out.
As long as you don't say, as long as you never said to someone, I read this book when you really listen to it, because those people are
I will honestly
horseshit.
tell you if I listened to the book
Thank
and not
you.
read it. I
'Cause
promise.
I can't truck with that. That's not cool. All right, guys. Also, this Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you're a patron, hang out with BGH the New Class as they watch The Babysitter on Netflix and watch along with them. That's going to do it, guys. Hope you enjoy the rest of this spooky season. Although I'm not sure this show's going to be out for Halloween, so maybe not. But hope you enjoyed it while it was happening.
Past tense.
Yes. And hope you enjoyed this show, and we'll talk to you next week.
Oh, Jesus. Who knows? Bye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Game over.
Bye-bye.